Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, it is my pleasure to share with you a special guest. Her name is Ksenia Merck. She is an artist, architect, and creative storyteller whose work bridges the worlds of structure, imagination, and spirit. Her latest creative endeavor, Ghost Flower, is a genre-blending science fiction novel written by her late husband, William F. Merck II. And after his passing, Ksenia brought the book to life through her vivid illustrations and posthumous publication honoring his legacy through art. Their co-creation follows a love that transcends time and asks a profound question. What are we as humanity willing to do today for future generations? Welcome, Ksenia. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you so very much. And I just absolutely love the name of this show, Path of the Awakened Heart. It's just so pertinent and so hits home to me. So I just love that. So thank you so much, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for acknowledging that as well. I feel the same. The name of the show really just feels like home.
It's fantastic. So um I'm excited.
Yes, thank you so much. Um, I definitely want to get into the book, but before we do that, I'd love for you to share with us what, led you to this path, to choose this as your calling.
Well, um, it's that is a very interesting and good question, and it's something that I have done a lot of soul searching on. And I will tell you that my mother, very strong influence in my life. Well, both my parents are very strong influence in my life. My mother lived with us for 14 years, and I was her prime caregiver, and she passed at age 102 in 2022. And that was in August, and that was really very difficult for me. And 23, the year of 23 was really pretty tough. And then in the fall of 23, we found out that Bill had prostate cancer. And all the reports were that it was manageable through these meds and a shot. Um, well, January of 24, things were not good. And I ended up taking him to the emergency. It was bad. It was really bad. And so they basically said a lot of things. You know, we walked in saying, "Hey, we think this is drug interactions." The bottom line is we were in the hospital, mostly in ICU for 2.5 months, and both of us had PTSD. But I will tell you that during that time, we I really felt that both of us that we were becoming closer together. Our vibration was rising and that we were more connected with God during that time. It was just every day I could just feel it. And there were so many people that came to our room that were praying for us. And I kept saying, Bill, you've got to get better so we can write a book together to really help people who are in the situation because it was so bad. And but for us, there were some things in March that occurred that the signs were just not getting better. It was actually a sign that he would pass, so he did pass over. And um, after that, a lot of things were just in a blur. But during the hospital stay, he And he had written two books in retirement. So You Want to Be a Leader, Secrets of a Lifetime of Success. And then he wrote Breadcrumbs, Finding a Philosophy of Life. And in that book, he had over 100 stories about what influenced him. Well, then he wrote Ghost Flower, and it's a science fiction book about saving humanity in the future. And so this team in 2035 has to do time travel to 1585 to plant clues for the future to save humanity. But it's about this flower that was brought in thousands of years prior to by aliens. Well, that's a really interesting story, and we're in the hospital with this uncurable thing that he has. So there were so many coincidences there. But he really wanted that book published. And the plan all along was that I would paint the cover. So after he passed, it took me some time to get through a lot of administrative things, and then I got into the book and I had to respond to the editor's comments, and I came away from that so inspired. And that's why I love the name of your show, Path of the Awakened Heart, because that that reading that book and having to work with the editor awakened my creativity. And I believe Bill did that. And I believe he's been here right here with me every step of the way. And so this book has really been a healing journey for me. And I don't know whether it was planned, but I believe that I have a soul contract with Bill to do this project. And so I ended up sketching and sketching, and he was with me doing that. So then I knew that I had to do a companion journal to go with it, to go with the book that had all the 44 sketches inside that, and it was an opportunity to really dive into some of the spiritual and philosophical questions that are raised in the book. So that's why I had to do the companion journal. That was really, to me, meant to complement the book. And so this is very, very important for me and a big part of my purpose right now.
That's a really beautiful journey. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I I am so sorry to hear about your husband. And also, it never ceases to amaze me. I mean, from my own personal life experiences as well, how some of the most challenging times and seasons that we move through can birth some of the greatest gifts of our life.
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
it really is truly, truly amazing.
mhm. It is absolutely amazing for me because um, Bill, I know, is my twin flame, and um, I just, like I said, I just feel very strongly that I have a soul contract to do this project. And so this is our project, his project and my project. It is our project. And so that's all the more why it is so special to me.
It feels like this book, I mean, of course, I don't know, and I'm going to ask you, but just energetically, it feels like this book really has a lot to offer in terms of supporting others in navigating the current times that we're moving through, not just individually, but as a collective as well. I'd love to hear more from you, your thoughts about that.
That is a very interesting point because there are so many themes in Ghost Flower, so many themes. So we can take the theme of humanity and the mere fact of a team in the future having to do time travel to the past to plant clues for the future. That says, what would each person be willing to do to save people in the future? And that right there is a huge question. How many people would be willing to do more for others and make a sacrifice? And that is really important right now as a question because I will tell you that my mother, well, all Bill's parents, my parents, they were all from that World War II generation. And she was Bill's dad was in the army. My dad was in the army as a paratrooper. My mother was a WAC. And I remember her telling stories about how in the 40s, she would hear people from back home were making sacrifices. But she made a sacrifice, but she was compassionate about what they were making as a sacrifice. How many people are like that today? How many people are like that today? And I think we need to really think about that and regroup as a society about where we want to go because it's not just about the individual.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you started talking about that, I say yes, you know. I believe that, our mission work, our experiences here that we're meant to have are not, and how we, whether we term it as a sacrifice, just whatever
Hmm.
we're doing in service, right, isn't
Hmm.
separate from who we are in our lives. I believe that it's part of who we are, that everything is interconnected. And I love that we're talking about this because we live in such a distraction society. And you know what? It isn't that most people don't have the intention to give back more
Hmm.
or to become more aware of what's happening in the greater good and how they can be of service. But a lot of people get easily distracted by
Yes.
everything that's going on externally. And believe me,
Hmm.
there's a lot going on in the world to care about. And something that I've always believed and that I teach in support of other clients and people is that the greatest way you can make a difference in the world is through developing a really anchored, clear sense of yourself. And what is
Hmm.
that thing, right, that you're willing to fall on the sword for, so to speak? That
Hmm.
cause that you're most passionate about in
Hmm.
service, and focus your attentions on that, right? Get really like grounded
Hmm.
and anchored in that.
Hmm. No, I agree with you totally on that. And that is another, for me coming through this grief, this is just another lesson, another path, another theme for me that I'm working on and realizing. And, it was years ago, my brother asked, what is your purpose? One question, what is your purpose? Whoa, that just, and it took me a long time to really think about that and to understand that. And I was probably in my early 40s at the time. And I came to realize that I had multiple purposes and that they were changing as I was growing. And so now this is another time of reflection for me. If I look at my life before Bill, we were married for 28 years, and then now I'm looking at what is my purpose going forward? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? How can I really make a difference? I've always been on the mouse wheel. I've always been in service. I've always been in a career that helps people. But to me, if I can help people with this project and other projects that are associated with this Merck II press and really help people, I feel very strongly about that that's really what my next path is about.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I'd love for you to share with us more about the book. I'd love to hear more about the book. I mean, you said it has many different themes. I'm really intrigued.
Okay. Well, it has a love story. It has, and
Yay, we
actually
love love stories.
multiple love stories in it, but a main love story with the two main characters. So I think that's really pretty exciting. But it is an adventure. It's got action. This team travels back to 1585. They meet up with a captain who has to take them on a journey to get to Spain, where they're going to meet with a monk to plant these clues. So they're traveling all through Europe. They're sailing. They're meeting pirates. They're meeting bandits. They're getting attacked. And this group on the ship together, they really act as a team. And so for me, I can see in this book where Bill wove in the first book being leadership and the second book being philosophies of life, breadcrumbs, finding a philosophy of life, that he wove those themes into Ghost Flowers. So it is a science fiction novel, but it has all of these other themes in there that to me are so powerful. And that's why that book, to me, it just is, he just hit it. He just really hit it out of the park with this one. So that's a lot of what's in the book.
Yeah, sounds really, really interesting. What is your, I mean, you're already out there in the world sharing this amazing creation, right? What is your highest vision for how this book reaches the world?
I don't know totally yet, but I think that I mean this book really has I think it really needs to get in the hands of a great many people, and I think it could be a movie, for sure. I mean, it just really has so many um as we said, great themes, but it has a movement to it. And what was interesting for me as I think about how Bill wrote this, he really he really went after it. I mean, he would wake up at 3 a.m. He would come, I'm in his office right now. It just feels right to be in his office where he did a lot of his writing to be doing this. Um, and he would come here and just, I mean, he just really went after this book. And there's not there's not a lot of notes. There's not a lot of notes about it. He wrote some notes about the characters, but this really flowed from him, and he navigates from the future back to the past and how these different time periods relate to each other. Um, it's got so much, there's so much for a lot of people in here. So, what is the vision? I don't totally know yet, but I've got to push and get it out there.
Yeah, it feels big, and I love that it addresses, different times, right? I mean, I feel
Hmm.
like I don't feel like, I mean, I know, right? We are linear time is like an earthly plane thing, right? We really everything is happening now, past, present,
Hmm.
and future. So it makes so much sense to me, right? That we would be, kind of traveling, you can call it traveling or, dipping your toe in and out of different
Right.
spaces.
Yes. And I've read different things about time travel now because of this book, and but one theory is that time is looping.
Hmm.
And that's fascinating to me. That's fascinating to me that, you know, eh, how do things get created? Are we creating things now? Are we going back to things that were creating before? Or created before. So it just how time works is really fascinating to me. But this book deals with time travel, and the other interesting aspect is the team that did the time travel. Um, they knew that they were not going to come back. They had this plan. These scientists had this plan to they could go they could go back, but they in time, but they couldn't come back to the present. So that was something that that team consciously chose to do to save humanity. And to me, that is just brave, courageous, all of those things, and um, that just is huge, I think.
You know what movie that reminds me of?
What?
The original Terminator.
Oh, well,
Well, the concept of it, right? Because
yes,
they traveled into, well,
yes,
someone volunteered, right, to
yes.
travel into the future to save humanity, essentially,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
travel to the past. It was the opposite, actually, but like a similar concept.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. I love also that, I mean, we I used to do a lot of work with future progression. I don't do as much of that work now, but at the simplest level, like all of us are able to connect with our future selves, to
Mm,
set the intention to connect with ourselves, a version of ourselves in a particular space and time, uh, which in my experience has proved very beneficial and helpful, not just for myself, but many of the people that I've worked with as well. So, um, being someone and working with a lot of people who are essentially creating a path that hasn't been paved before,
hmm
it requires a lot of courage and fortitude and the ability to connect with different aspects of yourself in navigating that path
hmm
is very beneficial. It's very interesting.
That does sound
It
interesting.
is.
That really is interesting.
It is. I mean, for example, say that you are, working on a project and you're envisioning, how the unfoldment of this project. It could be more about this book or something else. And you have certain questions, right, about the unfoldment of it. You can literally connect with yourself,
Hmm
the aspect of yourself who's already completed it, who's already embodying it, to have a conversation about it.
Wow. That's really intriguing. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, it really is interesting to me.
Yeah. So I bring it up just because this book, that your
Yeah.
husband
Yes. And
created, which is so amazing. I have to say I haven't read it yet, but I'm very interested in reading it. But it really is so connected with what I was talking
hmm
about, right? Like we
hmm
really just even in our day-to-day awareness, we're barely scratching the surface of our abilities.
hmm And that's something that Bill would he would talk about, and that is when he would look at, what is this universe? But how much more is out there? And he would always say, there's so much that we don't know. And I think that's what you're saying too, is that there's so much we're not tapping into.
Yes.
And that is to me just more than fascinating. It's really, I want to dig deeper into that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it really is, I mean, limitless,
hmm
in
hmm
terms of uh the rabbit holes you could go down. I mean, it's
Right.
really infinite.
Yes.
Uh
Yes.
Senia, what else are you feeling guided to share with us to intuitively bring forward about this book or anything else that's coming forward?
Well, I wanted to share with you something about the the art and the sketching process and the painting process because um, just art in itself to me is very healing, but in this case, I believe Bill was right here with me doing these sketches and doing these paintings, and the Shakespeare was certainly one that I know he was right here, if not guiding my hand. And the reason I say that is because Bill could, Bill was in the administration and finance field with higher education, but he had a very creative side and he could draw your portrait. Um, I'm an architect by background, and so I have focused more on landscapes and things like that and buildings, not so much people. People were always, I just never tackled them. They were harder for me. Well, because the team travels to where Shakespeare is, Shakespeare had to be sketched for the book. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I did the grid lines, did him in pencil, and then I knew that Bill would do him in charcoal. So I did him in charcoal. And I did him one pass. One pass, that was it. Other sketches, like Boston. I did several variations, but the Shakespeare That was one pass. He is one of my favorite sketches, and a big part of it is because I know Bill was right here with me. And so why is that important? It's because I have this connection. My connection with my husband is so strong, and I believe it's actually stronger now that he's passed in the spirit world, that I feel that he is guiding me, and I just feel like I love him more now. And that's to me what's really important here. And so that's an awakening for me. So my creativity was awakened in this process, and that's why I keep looking at your Path of the Awakened Heart. And oh God, I just love that title. So um, I just had to say that again.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, it is amazing how our loved ones, I mean, I haven't, I've experienced, transitioning of loved ones as well. And I've experienced something similar where I actually became closer, felt closer,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, felt more palpably that love
Hmm.
for that other being, after they
Hmm.
transitioned and changed form. It really is just such a gift. And again, it's just the enormity of creation and
Hmm.
the limitlessness of it all, and how our experiences can really just continue to become more and more enriching over time, and especially in our
Hmm.
relationships, even with people who are no longer with us in this
Hmm.
form. Anyways, I resonate a lot with what
Good.
you're sharing, and I love hearing how it awakened your creativity as well.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
I've not ever expressed the gift really of, like drawing or sketching. So I'm always really interested to hear about that.
Well, I've always loved drawing. At an early age, I loved drawing and painting. And I've done it on and off. And typically for me, I have to be more rested or I have to be more focused on it. And I think that maybe with the art, because I had to be so focused on it, that was actually the right window for me to connect with Bill because I was so focused on that. And I really blocked out a lot of the other, as you would say, our daily distractions. And so that was really important for me as a way to connect with Bill. And uh, I plan on doing some painting this weekend because I'm inspired just talking about this.
Oh, Senia, for those who are feeling guided to connect with you more deeply, where is the best place for them to go?
Well, we have a website. It's Merck II Press. It's MERCKII Press.com. And you'll find information there about these books as well as Bill's first two books, about us and our mission with Merck II Press. And we're continuing to add things to it as we evolve this project. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. And we will have, for folks who are listening, we'll have all of that information in the show notes as well, including links. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to connect today and just for all of the beauty that you bring to the planet and
Well,
your husband.
oh, Jennifer, thank you so much. It really, this is important for us. So thank you for this opportunity and thank you to your audience and my best to you.
Oh, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.